did you see? I don't know exactly what the score was, but Madam Web is getting like trounced in the ratings. Like the Rotten Tomato score was like really bad, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I listened to several reviews, and they're like, it was pretty roundly panned as like just a kind of like bad and like confusing as to why it even exists.
Yeah, we were dead on with how this would go, man. I think everybody knew though in the first place. The same director who directed Morbius and every crappy movie that's come out, like I mean, this guy's been really tearing it up with bad movies, and he did this one too.
Well, I
Actually, he got the job for this one before Morbius even released, so you
Well,
know.
actually, the director is a woman that I think only directed television before, but the script apparently was
Oh
written
yeah,
by
yeah,
like the same writer as Morbius.
yeah.
So
That guy sucks, man. How's he still working?
you know, it's very perplexing to me because like, uh, well, I will say, in fairness, writing in movies is very uneven because, like, the same guy that wrote Batman and Robin, like, wrote A Beautiful Mind. So, like, there is a big
Yeah,
disparity
this
in
guy's
writing.
consistently bad.
That's the thing, is like, they just had, a flop. I think Morbius was pretty much a flop. And so they know, like, this guy's not doing well as
Yeah.
writing these things, and I don't know, it's just I sometimes swear that studios do not put a premium on writing like they should.
It feels like, and I heard there were a lot of rewrites too. Like Dakota Johnson says she can't even talk about it, but it was massively rewritten, and like there were so many changes made to this movie by studio execs and stuff. I
That's what I
hate
heard too,
studio
yeah.
execs, man. They are the worst. Like they will destroy their own products so badly, and I don't understand what the logic is. Like, maybe it's to like be more family friendly. They think they're appealing to more people or whatever the case is, but they end up making so many bad decisions, man.
Well, one of the big problems is like people in those positions, like, no matter what, they have to give notes because otherwise it's like they're not doing their job. So like even if they read something they think is great or see like maybe daily footage that they think is great. Okay, I my internet bugged out for a minute, so
Oh,
I'm
okay,
back
okay,
now.
gotcha.
Um, so yeah, I was just saying that like with Madam Web and like uh, people in executive positions, like even if they read a good script or maybe they see daily footage that they even like they have to give notes because otherwise it's like they're not doing their job. But it always inevitably like gives a too many cooks in the kitchen type thing, you know,
Yeah, for sure.
when people do that. So yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like the movie industry as a whole has never quite figured that out. But then you get these pockets where it becomes very evident, and with like the Sony, Spider-Man uh, movies or Spider-Man less movies in this case, like it's
Yeah.
it's very apparent that like, but like I don't even know like from what I understand, this movie had a relatively like small budget. I think they made it for like $80 million,
Okay.
but still, I think opening week made maybe $20 million. So if you consider marketing, like I
Yeah.
assume they're going to lose money on this movie.
I mean, is at this point wise to sell back the properties? Like, it just they're not doing anything right with these things. Like, the villains suck. The characters are solid, like Venom and Spider Man. Like, those are good, great characters, but they're not doing anything with them. Like, Spider Man was pretty much. I think they got their hands held by Marvel throughout that whole process. I think Marvel, really helped them make that movie because there's no way I could trust Sony to have made that kind of product. No.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think that's the only reason those Tom Holland Spider-Man movies are of quality is because of Disney Marvel Studios like involvement in them.
Yeah. And what's
What would
incredible is they didn't learn anything from that experience.
Let me ask you something. If you were in Sony's shoes right now and you just see over and over again, like these movies, like I guess the Venom movies made money, but critically they weren't well received.
Yeah.
Like, let's say that Craven ends up being another flop. Like that would be three in a row: Morbius, Madam Web, Craven. If you're Sony, like, what would you do? Like, would you try a reboot with like a different, like, non Tom Holland Spider Man and be like, you know,
I think Sony thinks they have a cash cow with Tom Holland as Spider-Man. And the character of Spider-Man is so beloved in much of the country. Like I think there's like much of the world really. It's a underdog story about a young guy who takes on responsibility, and it's a very easy to like character, and I think a lot of people can get on board with that. Like how many times has Spider-Man been made? 3 times in the last 20 years. There's been 3 trilogies. One had two, but it was supposed to have three, and they're still talking about making a third one even. Um, and all three were in the latest one. So there, it just seems unlikely that they'll give up that property. It's such a good one. But so in Craven, is Spider-Man the main protagonist in that movie, or is it somebody else? Do we know?
in Craven.
Yeah.
Well, I think just like in Morbius, Craven's the protagonist, and they made like maybe his father or other people the bad guys essentially.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't see them giving up Spider-Man, but these other things, I think they really need to stop making those projects. Like, yeah, and I mean Venom, he's a beloved character too. Like not as much as Spider-Man, obviously, but he'll get some traction no matter what, right? Like people will come out to see a Venom movie. He's a known character. He's interesting to people. But nobody gives two about Craven. Nobody gives two about Madam Web. And Morbius, God, I mean, it's all the same trash. Like, it's not going to bring people in, and it's poorly written, it's poorly done. There's no effort. It's just, I don't understand what their approach here is, like what they're trying to even get away with. Like, they're not making money, so uh, it makes no sense to me. Venom, they're making that movie this year, or is it coming out? They're making another one, right?
I think they're making another one. My guess is it'll probably come out next year, if I had to guess, 2025.
So So I think they've been better. I haven't seen the Venom movies, but from what I've understood, like they've been better than these movies. Like they're a little bit better writing, better quality. Um, I think they need to get those right, like obviously, but you can't just rely on people liking the property, the character that much, because at some point people are going to recognize that you've made this many bombs with other characters, and they just don't trust the studio. I don't trust the studio. I haven't seen Venom at all. The only reason I watched Spider-Man was because Marvel was involved. I
Yeah.
never saw Morbius. I haven't seen Madam Web. I'm not going to see Craven probably. So, I mean, except for the animated movies, the Into the Spider-Verse, those are great.
Yeah.
I don't know why they have so much better writing in those movies than they do in the live actions,
Yeah, it's pretty
but
crazy. It's pretty crazy the disparity between the writing in those movies and the writing in the live action movies.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, those are funny, they're quirky, they're fun, they're smart, there's depth, there's emotional depth, there's so much more going on there. These are just, I don't know, like it doesn't make sense to me. Oh,
I did watch, Morbius out of just
oh,
curiosity, and I talked about it on the podcast several months ago. But yeah,
right.
it was terrible, and like maybe one day I'll want to watch this Madam Web movie out of just like curiosity too. But I know it's terrible. Oh, and also apparently like there's a lot of like really egregious like Pepsi product placement in this movie.
Oh no.
Like I heard in the end the bad guy is like even crushed by a large like Pepsi sign or something.
They got to get their money one way or another. They got to get that money back.
Actually, maybe that's maybe they do make money on these movies just from shameless product promotion. Maybe it doesn't matter what the box office does.
Very well could be. Yeah. I mean, there's so many movies like there's so many bad movies that are basically made on those promotions. Like they pay for themselves just based on like product placement and stuff like that. So I don't know if they can get 80 million back. Like, yeah, I don't know about that, but
Well,
no.
and it even have to be more than that because like I think the rule of thumb is that usually like for a theatrical release, just like all the advertising stuff usually like costs like what the budget of the movie is. So usually they say like double the budget. So like they would probably have to make more than 160 million probably to actually make a
Jeez.
profit.
I hope
Uh,
Pepsi really shelled out the big bucks for this.
but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do wonder, like, is there a price like Sony would actually, give up just the live action movie rights for Spider Man, and like
I'm on the podcast, buddy.
I wonder if Disney would even like agree to that, just like depending on how much it is, I guess.
I mean, I don't think Disney's clamoring to get back like Craven and Madam Web and Morbius, but Spider-Man, I know they want. They definitely want Spider. And they probably want Venom too. So I think they should take the money. Like Sony could sell it back for a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would think so. I mean, Disney bought Star Wars for like 4 billion, which actually seemed cheap to me at the time, and still kind
Yeah.
of does, looking at how much Star Wars makes. So I don't know if it would be worth that amount, but or, and maybe even Sony could make a deal where like we'll sell Disney like all the like live action like publishing rights for the Spider-Man stuff, but maybe they still get like some sort of percentage of royalties, like depending on how the movie does and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if Disney would go for a deal like that, but it just seems to me like there's got to be a price that could get this done.
I gotta go back. I don't mean to shit on Madam Web as a character, because she's kind of intriguing, but not on her own. Like she's part of a bigger Spider-Man story. You know, so I think in that sense, Sony or Marvel could definitely use her in that sense. Like part of the Spider Verse. But and she's probably the most intriguing out of the three characters that I mentioned. But yeah, this whole standalone movie thing, I don't think it works.
Well, and the other thing is track record because like if the let's say the MCU did have the rights to all the Spider-Man characters, if
Mhm.
they put out a Madam Web movie, like I wouldn't be like chomping at the bit to see it, but I
Yeah,
would see it,
yeah, that's true.
and I would at least know that there would be a chance that it would be good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I trust Marvel to do better with that project. Yeah, for sure, by far. I trust DC to do a lot better with any project than Sony's been doing.
I would be okay like if they did sell the rights, live action rights to Disney, of them just like never referencing like any of these characters again.
Yeah,
Although they did kind of do just an after credits thing. Like remember Tom Hardy was in the after credits of Spider-Man No Way Home.
yeah. I feel like
A-
Sony forced that one.
and Michael Keaton's Vulture character was in the post
Morbius.
Morbius post credits, and
Yeah,
it made
That-
no
that's just
sense. It
that's
made
just
no.
Sony pretending that they're part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, though. That's just Sony acting like, oh, we're part of this. We're all connected. You should watch us too. And that I think they also pull that stunt with these actors too, because like these people think they're part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then they realize that they're not. Even Dakota Johnson realized that this movie, Madam Web, isn't even part of the Sony Cinematic Universe or whatever you want to call it. Like it's in a different era, a different time period, and it's its own project.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
AJ, there was a bit of casting news this week. Did you see that the Fantastic Four they all got cast?
yeah, Pedro Pascal is Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, Reed
He's so
Richards
much
did.
more likable than any other Mr. Fantastic I've seen in live action, except for what's his name from Wanda. that Multiverse of Madness. What's his name?
Oh,
John Krasinski.
John Krasinski. Yeah, I forgot about that cameo.
But he was just that was just a cameo. Pedro
Yeah.
Pascal is a fun guy to watch. You know, he's charismatic. Uh, yeah, I'm a fan. I'll enjoy watching him.
You know what? I like Pedro Pascal, but I think he's almost a victim of his own success where now he's in so many things that I'm like, okay, I'd kind of like to see someone else.
That's true. You can get over you can oversaturate the market with your work, and I think a lot of actors go through that, and they have to take a break for a while.
Like
Maybe we can expect them to.
he is a great actor, and I'm sure he'll do a good job in the role. But yeah, I just like I
Yeah,
saw him in The Last of Us, like he's the
Mandalorian,
Mandalorian, um, and he's been in like a lot of
Game
other
of
stuff like
Thrones.
games. Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, he's just one of those guys that I've seen a lot lately, and I'm like, okay, maybe we could let some other people have a crack at it. But he's a
Yeah,
good
I hear you.
actor.
Yeah,
And then Vanessa Kirby, who I've only seen in like a couple
right.
things, like actually
She
she
was
was in
James Gunn's
Mission
wife, right?
Impossible. What?
Is she James Gunn's wife?
No,
Oh, okay, okay. Then
no.
she's the one who was in that movie with The Rock, right? Uh, Hobbs and
Hobbs and
Shaw.
Shaw. Yeah, she was in there, and she was also in this Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning movie that I watched.
Oh, okay,
I
she's
think
gonna have to
those.
fake an accent, huh?
What's that?
She's gonna have to fake an American accent then, right?
Yeah, I'm guessing she's British, right? I think
I think
so.
so.
Um, and then the other two actors, I'm not super familiar with. One of them is a guy from like the last season of Stranger Things. I think he played Eddie.
Oh, right. Yeah, he was a really big. People loved him in that show.
Yeah, but I think that's the only thing I've ever seen him
Yeah, I
in.
never seen anything else.
I
Yeah.
think. And then the other guy is that's playing the Thing. He's in that show The Bear, which is very popular, but I haven't actually seen that show.
Is he like the main chef, that young guy?
No, no, he's a different guy. But he was also, I guess, in the oddly enough in the John Barenthal Punisher show. I guess he played Micro. The
I don't know. Yeah, I have to look him up.
he was like the guy that like helped him out or whatever, and like was estranged from his like wife or whatever, and was like spying on his own family or whatever. And
Hmm.
then he also, I know you didn't watch it, but he played a part on Andor season 1. So like
Oh,
I've seen him in a couple things, but like he's gotten a much bigger because of The Bear. One of these days I should watch The Bear because everybody says it's great. I just haven't sat down and watched it.
yeah, I gotta check it out too. It's on Hulu, so it's there.
Yeah. But I have to imagine like he'll be in the first Fantastic Four movie somewhat as himself, but then once the
Yeah,
transformation takes place, then he's just going to be the Thing, the
yeah.
voice.
Did you ever? I saw like a breakdown of. I guess I saw clips or something of that Fantastic Four movie that was never released.
Oh, the Roger Corman
Yeah,
one.
that's hilarious, man. That movie is hilarious. There's also like a 90s or like 80s Captain America movie. And the time before CGI, they couldn't do anything with those characters. Like that was not a good time for superhero movies. They really wanted to make them, but geez, they couldn't do it with those guys.
Yeah, I've never actually watched any of those, but like you were saying, I have seen like stills from them, and yeah,
Yeah.
they look just hideous and awful.
And like they're like running down the street in an alley or something. It's nothing like as grand or cinematic as we see with these movies now.
Right? Yeah, they all look terrible.
Yeah. Uh,
Well, I think the Roger Corman thing was like a rights thing where it was like if you don't start shooting within a week, you're going to lose the rights to do this. And
right,
so
that's
it's
what it
like,
was. Yeah,
so it's
they
like,
never intended to release it.
so like
Yeah.
within a week they were shooting and they shot whatever they shot, but which apparently is pretty bad. But I think there's some people that say that movie's actually kind of fun, like in a campy sort of way.
Okay.
But yeah, I've never there's apparently bootlegs of it out there. But
That might be fun for a bad movie night.
It could be actually.
Yeah.
Watch Roger Corman's Fantastic Four.